welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and I'm here with LUMARI here on the program that brings you new paradigms for a new world. We're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. And of course, LUMARI is with us every Wednesday at 9 a.m., specifically as we have been going through the 12 streams of consciousness in the book entitled Streams of Consciousness. And we're going to continue on with number 11 here in a moment. But LUMARI, it's really a pleasure to have you back on the program today to continue this conversation.
I am so excited to share this wisdom, to talk about my book, to connect with you, and to open up this conversation for all of the people who are listening, because the energies of the streams of consciousness really are life-changing. And they're gorgeous.
They are indeed gorgeous and needed today, all 12 of them. And number 11... I'm going to read to you folks this from, it's actually chapter 15, but it's the 11th stream of Universality. The all-embodying absolute shares the fullness, the totality, the yes, enhanced by the riches of existence that flow into the waiting oneness, vibrating omnipresence in the laughing now. Now, first of all, I like those last two words, laughing now. And boy, I got to tell you, we could use some laughter today because people are really getting kind of wound up over stuff. We could list those things, but everybody knows what they're wound up over. Even I find myself every once in a while getting caught up in that winding process. Universality, very interesting word. The stream of universality is a collective resonance frequency that awakens, invites and reveals direct experience and recognition of the divine in all things and all things in the divine. This awakens wonder and curiosity. This stream reveals a clear experience of interconnection and the infinite knowing of divine recognition. And as I was reading that, in spite of the fact that I was reading that, my mind is flashing images. I like watching these short little videos on YouTube as well as on Facebook. They call them reels or shorts. And every once in a while, these, I want to say these more philosophical ones pop up. Maybe with a picture of an angel or Jesus or what have you. And they'll be quoting from a scripture. Usually I'll flip past it. I'll scroll right past it. I'll keep right on going, I've heard this stuff before, But usually all it is just the reading of that passage. And I remind myself, hey, maybe someone is trying to tell you something. And the reason I bring it up is because of the phrasing of the direct experience and recognition of divine in all things and all things in the divine. That's kind of where I was going with that when watching some of these. And keeping that awareness open. Seems to me like the universality is part of that, is recognizing every time you turn around, someone is trying to tell you something, right?
Well, we have messages everywhere. And with the stream of universality, in a way, you both have the biggest message and the most minute. You have the biggest awareness, consciousness, openness, and then you have the most minuscule. So when we look at even life here on our planet, because actually the streams of consciousness are on our planet, and yet they're beyond our planet because they're vibrational, so it doesn't have, mass and density and all that jazz. But when you look at it, it's like if you think of the all, then you think of the collective wholeness of it. And yet in that is every detail. Not just every molecule, but the way the molecule was created, the timeline it was created in, and what it's doing right now and what it may do when it disappears or it may do if it gets bigger, it's all contained in the universality. And so it's a vastness, it's intimate. So in recognizing the universality, you're looking at specifics, you're looking at harmony where things are moving together in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they stay that way or not is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Because we're all moving and changing anyway, and so is everything around us. There isn't anything stagnant. It's just whether we notice its evolution and growth and change or not. And being able to embrace that divine connection in everything. Because we know that the conversations around us some of the conversations, try to separate us and pit us against things.
Oh,
But the universe doesn't do that.
No. Boy, I'm so glad, too. And I keep going back to this example, and I've used this on a number of the programs that you and I have done, where I'm cutting up this oak tree. And when you say that the universe doesn't play that game, when I'm in tune, as I really try to be when I'm out there with my chainsaw and the hillside that in some instances is rather steep, and this huge tree with a big log, the trunk that, and when I get that message, even if it's just an impression, hey, wait till tomorrow. Leave that alone until tomorrow. And I walk around to another part of the tree and I work on that. And sometimes I think that these messages that we get are not necessarily warnings of imminent danger, but more sometimes just a guidance that you don't really need to work that hard right now, because as you finish up over here, somehow, some way, as time passes, this other part you wanted to work on right now, I don't know, might be a little easier. It might flow more than if you tried to do it now and maybe try to force, so to speak, force your will on the situation. And I heard, especially when it comes to prayer, Lumari, that the one answer we always seem to want is yes. Answer yes. And I don't want to say that it's no, that the answer is sometimes no, but more not right now.
Well, when we're looking at all the different answers we could receive, so moving back just a little bit.
Sure.
Everybody, it's really important to pay attention to the guidance that you receive, whatever that is, because we don't know how it's going to affect us in the moment or in 20 years. You don't know that, but part of universality is it's all together and it's all different. It's all in the oneness, and every single particle has a different path, a different energy, a different configuration. So whatever you're doing, if you're getting a message within yourself, and part of what I do with people is help train them to listen to those messages and articulate them as well. So one part is listening, whether it's action, and another is articulating it in your own life. But when you receive those actions and those messages, you want to really listen. And you shared that you do. And that's really important, because once you start listening, then you actually recognize which things are really, guidance, or I like to call them intuitive hits, and other things that are just noise.
Yeah.
Because we, good news, bad news, our world is filled with noise. Now, some of that noise turns into magnificent things, and some of it not so much. But if you're connecting with the qualities and the essence of universality, you're looking at wholeness, so that things are individually resonating, and yet they're all connected. And they're also moving in a cosmic dance so that you can participate, you can recognize. And because of that universality, one part you can see the wholeness, and then the other part is so vast you'll never see the end of it. And then the other part is so intimate that it comes to you and you're so familiar with it and you recognize it. And this is all the energies of the divine when we look at it. Some things are really personal, some messages, some intuitive hits, some guidance, or some things that we just happen to notice are really divine messages. And some of it is our own wisdom. And some of it is the fact that we are really smart enough to pay attention, to see things that are going on in the minuscule second. So you look at those things, and there are things, everybody listening, you as well, me as well, there are things that have happened in our life in a split second. And because we saw it and we did something about it, it made a difference. Sometimes that's a good news thing. Yes, get that right now.
Yeah.
And then you do. And sometimes it's like, get out of there. And you do. But you see, it's you paying attention to what the universe, the universality, is revealing to you, and you are in that relationship. And most people don't really recognize how deep and profound our relationship with the divine is, and our relationship with the energies and the streams of universality.
I've shared the story on a number of occasions where I was bicycling to work one day, and I got the prompting. And it brings up this question to you. Does it matter why? The reality is I'm being given a message, and as I've often said, if you're going to listen to that still small voice, why listen if you're not going to follow the promptings? Which, it's taken years, but 99.9% of the time, I follow the promptings.
Yeah.
But does it really matter if we understand the reason why we're giving the message? Like, oh, hey, okay, I want you to do this, and it's because you're going to avoid an accident. Or I want you to do this because, et cetera, et cetera. Is that really necessary?
No,
we let that go.
Let's say that's part two.
Okay.
So, because if you start asking all the questions, or if we start asking all the questions, then we're delaying the response. Now, there are different energies there, okay? So, you normally, most of us know when we get a message, or I call it an intuitive hit, and you're supposed to do something right now. There's an energy to that feels either it's like calling your attention or, alarming you or alerting you or poking you, however you want to say it, that there's an action to take right now. And again, it could be like, yes, play that lottery number. Boom, you won, right? And it could be other things as well. So that aspect, that is one you simply pay attention to, and you do it. Because in your body, in your energy field, you know you're, quote-unquote, supposed to do something. Or another way of saying it, you're called to action now. Now, we also get lots of other messages that we must pay attention to. And I'll tell you why we should pay attention to them in a minute. But the action doesn't have to come right away. Now, you pay attention to it because it is a message for you. Why would the divine send you a message only for you to ignore it and go, like, I'm sorry, I got to get my coffee? Did I do a good New York accent?
That was good. I like that. Yeah, coffee.
Exactly. And like, so you're ignoring the divine to get coffee because you're in line. No, that's dissing the divine. You want to honor the messages you receive. Some of the messages you take action right away because you know it, you feel it in your whole being. And obviously we will train ourselves more so that we pay attention better. But there are also messages that you go, okay, I don't know about this. I don't understand it fully. And then you can tune in and go, okay, I need to explore this.
Mm-hmm.
So I may not have to take action right now, but I have to recognize that I received this divine message, and I need to explore it.
Yeah.
And that's the other way of looking at it, because, part of that you'll also have fun, because it actually relates to my other book, Living Inspired with Lumari. Receiving inspiration comes the same way as divine guidance does, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as an artist, musician. And so we want to be really present to that listening, the action that you need to take, but also the inquiry. If we think we already know, then we don't know anything.
Yeah, that and that's a saying I've heard and read many times, and it's true. It really is, because we're closing the door.
Yeah.
We're closing the door.
And that's why I love being able to talk about things like it's art, because a painter knows how to put the paint on the canvas.
Yeah.
But the vision, every single time, is different. It's open. It's an exploration. And if it doesn't look good, they throw it away and start over again, because the vision wants to be present. And exploring that, when we're connecting with and talking about the stream of universality, we have an amazing opportunity to be able to be present to the detail and be present to the wholeness at the same time. So you are a detail in the universal all.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, you can perceive details that are even more details than you are, and you can perceive the vastness in a way that as you continue to look at the vastness, it becomes more vast.
Mm-hmm.
And yet a molecule in your own body feels that it is the detail and you are the vastness.
I've often said, specifically in the context of a work environment, as I'm training people and so forth, the details will make you or they will break you. And when you talk about working your way down, shall we call it the detail scale,
Yes.
from self, I am a detail of the universe. I, as an individual, also have details in my life, like everybody else does.
Yes.
But a lot of times, and maybe I'm hoping this is going in the right direction here. A lot of times we turn those details into something bigger than they are, and not bigger than they need to be, not bigger than and so forth, but just flat out bigger than they are. Every aspect of one's life is made up not of big things, but of a lot of little things, almost a beach's grains of sand, numerical, if you will, of details. And sometimes we don't even learn about some of these details until after we have dealt with some of the others. It's like you work with one and it moves out of the way, and oh, there's another one. But that's the process of life.
Well, and we get to play in all of these different areas.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing is, sometimes we're moved, and sometimes we're triggered. But moved, I mean inspired, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're moved to look at details because they configure something really intimate. They put together different energies that we can really see. Okay, so like an atomic physicist is looking at the atoms, where like somebody who's a cosmic physicist, I don't really think there's a name like that, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at the vastness of the universe. Now they both relate, and yet one person is inspired by more than they can possibly imagine. And the more that they can possibly imagine is what keeps them going, because it's even more and more and then more and more. And then the other person who's loving the details is like the finite, the little minuscule details that can make it talk. They make just as big a difference as the vastness.
Mm-hmm.
That's why universality is so brilliant. I really feel all the streams are brilliant, but when you look at this,
Yeah.
it's like you have, I'll use this example of your breath. So you inhale your breath, it's intimate. It's one little breath inside of you. And you exhale it, and it just moves out of you. Oh, but that breath, you don't know where that came from. That air could have come from Argentina. It could have come from Russia. It could have come from Alaska. It could have come from anywhere that you just breathed in. And you exhale it, and you don't know where it's going. It could be going so far above our level that it dissipates because it goes beyond the shelter of oxygen around our planet.
And I'll add another dimension because they have actually been able to measure this. In addition to, as you've used the analogy of location, they have determined and managed to carbon date the molecules that we breathe in, oxygen, I know it's more than that, and breathe out carbon dioxide. And we're breathing in and out the molecules that have been around for centuries. So it could be I inhaled from Jerusalem in the year 1 or 2 or 5. And it could have been from any human that was alive at that time, including some of the great philosophy, heads of philosophies that exist today, whether you want to say the Buddha or Jesus or Muhammad or Socrates, and the list goes on and on. Yes, it's also true, too. You also may be inhaling the molecules of not so nice people down through history. But
yeah, well, I was just thinking that I think you're inhaling Shakespeare.
Well, okay. And here's here's the thing, though. Just because they can carbon date it and they can, let's say, identify what year or range it came from, and maybe the location, et cetera, it doesn't necessarily mean that those molecules, which have probably been inhaled and exhaled by millions, if not billions, down through history from that point in time, you're not inhaling the energy of that being, that personality at that time. It's just, it's referencing the connectedness, the connectivity, if you will, of the human species specifically, but of beings on this planet, because it's also animals as well as plants.
It's everything.
Yeah, it is everything, yes.
It's everything. I mean, you're inhaling the fragrance of a rose in Paris.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that is so magnificent about this, because as we talk about all of these different aspects, when we're looking at the nature of the stream of universality, you are appreciating a widespread energy. And it comes to you in a knowing and a consciousness and an energy, so that you're able to be present to everything and a singularity at the same time, and be present to yourself, and know that in every moment the universe is present in that moment. We all know how distracted we get. We
Uh-huh.
all know how all the different things, and not only distracted, but sometimes we wouldn't call it distraction because we really have a very, very specific focus. But when we're very specifically focused on something, then we're not recognizing what's going on around us.
Right.
The magical thing to do is to understand deep within yourself. Whether you can presence it at every moment or not is something completely different. But to know that the all and the one and the minute and the profound is all happening now.
Yeah.
With you, and you're part of it.
Yeah. And when I think about all of those molecules that I have inhaled and exhaled in the brief, I'm almost there, almost 64 years of existence on the planet. I'm not passing judgment on where they came from or who else used them and so
Right.
forth. I'm just taking them in so that I can keep living my life. So it seems to me like if we could embrace that aspect, and since we're talking about the breath, that aspect of what we inhale and exhale, maybe, just maybe, we could transcend a lot of, and the first thought that comes to my mind, all of the polarization that's going on around the world today. Because if you recognize where it's coming from, but realize that it came through all of these other people down through the history of man, what difference does it make who it came through? Again, to me, it's paramount to the question why when it comes to listening to the still small voice. It's there to sustain your life. Go ahead.
Well, I think what's really interesting is the image that came to me while you were talking about this, which the universe always gives me humorous images as well as profound, but this was humorous. I was watching a magic show, and the distraction, right, was all of the different things that we're listening to, so that when the magician went, ta-da, right, they showed you whatever they wanted to show you. You didn't get to see the most profound thing because it's part of that trick.
Yeah.
I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. You won't pay attention to this. Only pay attention to what I tell you to pay attention to. And poof, here it is. And that's the conclusion you get to when you're not allowing yourself to be more open to the universality of it, but you're listening to directions that are created to trigger you. Now, when I'm talking about magic, it's not negative. Just this is the way it's done. You know, you have all these things, you move around, you open the door, you close the door, you do this, and poof, there it is. We were not able to see how that happened or what led us there. When we're paying attention and connected with universality, we can still enjoy the magic, but we see so much more that we're not distracted by. We're not pointed in a particular direction that isn't in alignment with our greater being.
Yeah. Yeah.
And universality brings that right there.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the obviously one of the 12 streams of consciousness that we are talking about here, and I hope that you folks are enjoying this. I find it fascinating myself, and obviously the conversations that Lumari and I have had over the course of the time we've been talking about this is it's fun to ponder. Now, I will be the first to admit that even during these conversations, even I get distracted. Okay. But I'm going to stay focused on talking about the fact that for over 30 years, Lumari has been been a coach. She's been a guided visionary leader, creative. She's been a creative, which actually is a verb, a change maker to create the higher vibrations and shifts to accelerate the gifts, follow the highest destiny, and uplift our world. And Lumari has, she's got a private coaching, spiritual training courses, books. We've been talking about her books and meditations that bring joyful awakening, profound clarity, transformational healing to raise awareness, I should say, vibration, and divine connection. And I'm just going to run through real quickly here. First of all, you can receive a free gift from Lumari through her website, lumari.com. Personal sacred space meditation. It helps you feel clear and whole, connected to your deeper self, and in touch with your own energy, vision, and purpose. And you can go to lumari.com/sacred space. All right, so that again is lumari.com/sacred space. Streams of Consciousness, of course, is the book that we're talking about. Discover the 12 hidden frequencies of creation. Activate your higher calling and uplift our world. She also has another book called Alawashka. It's the original language and vibration source of creation. She has, and we're going to talk about this one in coming weeks, Living Inspired with Lumari. Engage the lights of awakening, revelation, and transformation. And one of my favorite conversations, not only with Lumari, but other folks who are dealing in this particular realm, Akashic Records, a collective keepers of divine expression. And we have been talking with Lumari here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Richard Dugan, your host, and it has always been and continues to be, and I'm sure always will be, a pleasure to have her here on the program to talk about all of these different aspects of who and what we really are. And today, of course, it's universality. And the invitation of the stream of universality, basically it moves steadily, creating a deeper understanding of the nature of place and existence in the world and the great cosmic all. It is a quiet force of wisdom. I love that word. We had one of the streams is of wisdom that appears to infuse everything and everyone. You know, that's an interesting phrase right there, turn of phrase. Infuse everything and everyone. It seems to me, Lumari, that in the context of universality, the reality that we are all connected is, and you can debate it all you want, but it's inescapable. It is the way we were, shall we say, or how we created our world. Because, see, I don't know that I didn't have a hand in the creation of the world in which I live. I don't know that I do or don't. All I know is here we are. So that's kind of the why I phrase it that way. But that interconnectedness, interdependentness, if you will. Interdependentism as one phrase I came up with. It's a reality. It you can't escape it. It is the way that it is. It's a question of whether you accept it and embrace it or not.
Well, what is really exciting about that as well is when we look at that, right, what's really beautiful, and I want everybody to just take a deep breath. What's really beautiful is that everything you do can change and uplift our world.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is that you do, small acts, grand acts, anything there can change the world in a positive way. And when we really know that, then we can see how the vibration of the individual and the all together in universality does give us power.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to do that. I love small acts and big acts.
Mm-hmm.
So I I have my own things, and later on we'll talk about some things that I'm bringing out into the world. But what I love to do small things.
Yeah.
I love to go to the supermarket and make every baby in the carriage laugh. As I'm walking, I make funny faces at them, and they giggle, and the mothers always look at me like, what? And I'm like, okay, more joy in the world.
Exactly.
There you go.
Well, you know what?
It's
go ahead.
small.
Yeah.
It's small, but you can do it.
Yeah. You know, in my conversations with my dear friend Steve Cates, Dr. Sky, when we talk about about Skyview here on the station, and I watch some of these shorts and reels regarding space travel and so forth. If you are, this is where the details come into play here when you talk about doing the small things. If you are launching a rocket, let's just say, keep it close at hand, to the moon. All right?
Yeah.
If you are off by less than 1 degree of trajectory, you're going out into open space.
Wow.
And as I said, even less than that. It doesn't take much to miss your target because there's so many variables going on. You have to calculate in those variables and so forth. Whereas it doesn't take much to put you on course.
Right.
Your life's purpose. And the wonderful mystery and magic of it all is you don't know, you really don't know what little things you're doing are going to have that kind of an effect in terms of, am I on purpose? Am I living my life's purpose? Am I not? Should I do this? Should I not do this? Which is, to me, where the still small voice comes in, where the voice of the divine, the guidance of the divine, the promptings. And I consider, for example, my father. I've shared this before, where I don't necessarily hear his voice, but I get these impressions.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And I know for me, I hear their voices.
Yeah.
My parents. My mother made me publish a book that I had written.
And she was already in the other world.
Oh, she was in the other world.
Yeah.
But my mother was an amazing, amazing woman.
Yeah.
And I had written a book. It's like we're segueing off topic for a moment, but I
Sure.
had written a book when I was, after a crazy breakup I had that, I just went, screw man, I'm out of here. I'm going to be single.
Yeah.
And then I got divine messages about dating being shopping, right? It's like, no, dating is shopping. You can get what you want. I'm like, oh, I know how to shop. My mother was the best shopper in the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote a book, and I followed all of my own shopping skills, and I found my amazing husband. Well, he found me, but I knew it was him,
Yeah.
right? And I had put it aside because I love to write. So I'll write a book, and I'll just keep it in my computer. And my mother started coming to me in the evenings going, it's time to put that book out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like really, when we look at like business and all those other things, am I really the dating coach? No, I'm the spiritual master. Right? We're talking about frequencies here and there. And my mother, bless her, because she's hilarious. She's like, oh, so you let all those single women just walk around looking for true love because it's not, what did you call it, a niche? I'm like, okay, that's my mother. Yep, all right, Mama, you got it. Yes, but like they give me messages like all the time like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy because they know me well enough to know. My mother knew me well enough to know how to nag me from the other side.
Yeah.
To get me to do it like she would have done if I was 8. Right?
Yeah.
But these messages that we receive, and so I wrote this book, Shopping for a Man, and it is really funny. It helps women date. Now, yes, it's a spiritual book, but it's also funny. But being open to receiving those messages is really, really important. I just got a message 2 days ago from someone online who was reading my book, Streams of Consciousness, and he told me that he was reading another book by an astronaut who went out into space. And he said, you know what? He said he came back from his, rocket trip a completely changed person. And when I read it, I realized he had been connected with 4 of the 12 streams of consciousness, and it completely changed his life. So when he came back home, everything was different because he resonated with the 4 different streams. And I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
Well, it was like, who knows where those, but see, he read my book, read somebody else's book, and then for whatever blessed universal connection happened in the universality, those 2 things connected, and he sent me a message saying, I just read this book, and he didn't even mention the name of the book or anything. He's like, and this astronaut went into space, and I realized he connected with the streams of consciousness, and it changed his life. Like, wow. Messages come from everywhere when we're connected and open to universality.
Yeah. Before I dive into the last comment or paragraph, if you will, of the chapter on the stream of universality, I ask this question of you at the end of each of these lessons, if you will. The stream of universality, I don't know why I like it phrased this way. What's in it for me?
Well, we're human. What's in it for you? The stream of universality. Okay, imagine this. Imagine you actually do feel connected with everything without thinking you have to give up some part of yourself in order to have that connection and awareness. You are connected. You don't have to change. You don't have to give up something. You don't have to be deserving of it. You don't have to bow down to it. You don't have to figure out something. You can be, and you are, connected with the stream of universality, which means everything is present for you right now, whether you focus on the vastness or the details. That's what's in it for you.
To that end, as it were, we have here the blessing of the stream of universality. May you be an awakening for pervasive wholeness in the great cosmic all. May you be a quiet force of wisdom through all of creation, who reveals the commonality each shares. May you reflect and illuminate a wholeness, a life force, a consciousness, who shines with infinite interconnection. May you become a vessel for illuminating the divine in the all. And we have been talking here on the program about the stream of universality in reference to the streams of consciousness, the book that's available through LUMARI.com. We also encourage you to get that the free meditation that is available when you go to the website, which we have available for you, and we encourage you to go to lumari.com /sacred space. I believe that's what we want to send you to, so that you can get a download. Sacred Space, that's correct. And we hope that you'll go there, lumari.com /sacred space. Lumari, before we wrap up, I thank you so much once again for being with us, and we look forward to wrapping up the number 12 next week here on Tell Me Your Story.
Oh, I am so delighted and honored, and just sending abundant, joyful, beautiful, connected vibes all around to everyone and beyond.
Well, folks, I thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We're here Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m. for this special edition of Tell Me Your Story with Lumari. We are also on Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., so 9 opportunities. We hope that you will also find us on SoundCloud as well as iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and other locations. We're on YouTube where you can watch these conversations. We hope you'll subscribe as well as click notification so that when a new conversation is posted, you'll be able to tune in. We ask that if you can support the work we're doing financially, we would greatly appreciate that. We have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. We also ask, as we've said probably, hundreds of times since September of 2019, to go within and listen to that still small voice during this, now the decade of perfect vision. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to Lal. Jeanette, I am still listening. Dad, continue to be happy. I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.